Imagine a place where even silence screams. A narrow, cold stone cell, moisture dripping from the walls. A floor so hard that even sleep feels like punishment. And a small window where the light that enters is not hope, but a reminder every single day that you are still not free. 27 years. This wasn't just time, it was a lifetime. A man's youth, his dreams, his family, his identity, all of it buried in that darkness. In 1964, when Nelson Mandela stepped onto Robben Island, his name was taken away. His identity was stripped. He was no longer Nelson Mandela. He had become prisoner 466/64. Imagine that. Your name, your story, reduced to a number. That was apartheid. The world kept moving forward. People kept chasing new dreams. And Mandela was imprisoned on an island where time itself seemed to stand still. The government believed they had ended him, that his voice would never be heard again. But they were wrong. Mandela was not just a man, he was a seed. And the deeper you bury a seed, the stronger it grows. One day, it breaks through the ground and rises as something far greater. Mandela was born in a small village called Motivational. He was not born a legend, but he learned something powerful. A true leader is not the one who walks ahead, but the one who walks with everyone. Everything changed when he arrived in Johannesburg. There he saw a wounded society, a broken system, apartheid. A system where a person's worth was decided by the color of their skin, where you could sit, what you could eat, and whether you were even worthy of being called human. And in that moment, Mandela made a decision. If the law is unjust, then resisting it is justice. In 1962, he was arrested. Then came the Rivonia trial, a trial where the outcome was already decided, death. But that day, Mandela did not stand in fear. He stood with courage, and he said, "I dream of a society where all people are equal. It is a dream I want to live for, but if needed, it is a dream I am prepared to die for." The courtroom fell silent. History paused for a moment. He was not sentenced to death. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. 27 years. Imagine a place where even silence screams. A narrow, cold stone cell, moisture dripping from the walls, a floor so hard that even sleep feels like punishment, and a small window where the light that enters is not hope, but a reminder every single day that you are still not free. 27 years. This wasn't just time, it was a lifetime. A man's youth, his dreams, his family, his identity, all of it buried in that darkness. In 1964, when Nelson Mandela stepped onto Robben Island, his name was taken away. His identity was stripped. He was no longer Nelson Mandela. He had become prisoner 466/64. Imagine that, your name, your story, reduced to a number. That was apartheid. The world kept moving forward, people kept chasing new dreams, and Mandela was imprisoned on an island where time itself seemed to stand still. The government believed they had ended him, that his voice would never be heard again, but they were wrong. Mandela was not just a man, he was a seed, and the deeper you bury a seed, the stronger it grows. One day it breaks through the ground and rises as something far greater. Mandela was born in a small village called Manavo. He was not born a legend, but he learned something powerful. A true leader is not the one who walks ahead, but the one who walks with everyone.
His career was gone. His family was shattered. His name was erased. Everything seemed finished. But it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Because from that moment on, Nelson Mandela was no longer just a man. He was becoming a legend. Robben Island, it was not just a prison. It was a hell. Blazing sun, burning ground, and heavy hammers in their hands. Prisoners were forced to break stones all day without rest. Lime was thrown into their eyes, a white poison that slowly stole their vision. Mandela's eyes were never the same again. But he did not choose to complain. He chose something else. He chose to learn. While others were breaking physically, Mandela was building his mind. He learned the language of his jailers, Afrikaans. Why? So he could understand his enemy. Because when you understand how your enemy thinks, you are one step closer to defeating them.
My friends, when life puts you in hardship, you always have two choices: either break or prepare yourself. Mandela did not choose to break. He chose preparation. In the middle of that prison, between hard, lifeless stones, he created a small garden. Just imagine where the land itself resisted life. He grew it. Tomatoes, chilies, green leaves. But that garden was not just about vegetables. It was a message. It was hope. It was proof that even in the hardest ground, life can still grow. Every morning, Mandela would wake up. He would exercise, strengthening his body. Then he would study, sharpening his mind. And not just himself, he lifted others too. He encouraged his fellow prisoners. He taught them that this prison is not just walls. It is a school where you either come out broken or reborn into someone stronger. Mandela taught them one powerful truth. Freedom is not just physical. Freedom is mental. If your mind is free, then these iron gates, these high walls are nothing, just piles of dust. And slowly, that prison was no longer just a place of darkness. It became a birthplace of thought, where a man was not just surviving, he was forging himself into a leader who would not just stand for himself, but for the entire world. There, in the darkness of Robben Island, Mandela was not breaking. He was becoming. The 1980s. The world was changing, but one name began to echo everywhere: Nelson Mandela. A man who was far from the world, yet lived in the heart of it. Protests, voices, campaigns, everywhere, one demand: free Mandela. The government grew uneasy. They made him an offer. We will set you free. Just stop your fight. Just imagine, after 27 years in prison, freedom is right in front of you, and there is only one condition: give up. But Mandela did not bow. He replied clearly, only free men can negotiate. Prisoners cannot. This was not just an answer. It was a mindset, a principle. For 27 years, he waited, but he never compromised his values. Then came 11 February 1990, the day that became history. The prison doors opened. Slowly, a man walked out. White hair, a face marked by time, but in his eyes the same light, and on his lips the same calm smile. The world stood still. People watched, holding their breath. Everyone wondered what would happen next. 27 years of pain, 27 years of injustice. Would Mandela take revenge? But what happened, no one expected. Mandela said, "I forgive them." For a moment, the world fell silent. Forgiveness for those who had taken everything from him? That was Mandela's greatest strength. He showed the world forgiveness is not weakness, it is the greatest power. Hatred is a burden, one that pulls you down, and if you want to move forward, you must first let go of that weight. Mandela did not just lead himself, he showed a path to the entire world. His message was clear. If you truly want to move forward, you must learn to shake hands with your enemy. Because falling and rising again is powerful, but rising and lifting others with you, that is greatness. And that is why Mandela did not just become a leader, he became a light that still guides the world today.
1994. History changed forever. Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa, a moment the world celebrated, a victory decades in the making. But for Mandela, this was not the end of the struggle. It was the beginning of a greater challenge. A nation broken, a people divided, years of hatred, pain, and injustice still burning beneath the surface. South Africa was free, but it was not united. Mandela knew freedom alone was not enough. If the nation stayed divided, that freedom would mean nothing. And then he did something unexpected, something bold, something no one saw coming. He turned to a game, rugby, a sport that once symbolized division, a sport many black South Africans hated because it represented the old regime. But Mandela saw something different. He saw an opportunity. During the 1995 Rugby World Cup, Mandela stood in front of the nation wearing the jersey of the Springboks, the very team that once divided his people. That moment was more powerful than any speech, more powerful than any law. It sent a message. This is not their team or your team. This is our team. And slowly, something incredible happened. People who once stood against each other began to stand together, cheering, celebrating as one nation. Mandela didn't just lead a country, he healed it. People began to call him a saint, a man beyond flaws, a symbol of perfection. But Mandela never accepted that. He said, "I am not a saint, unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps trying." And that is where his true greatness lies. Because this message is not just for history, it's for you. You're not perfect? That's okay. You've made mistakes? That's okay too. You've failed, fallen, lost your way? That's okay too. What matters is this: don't stop trying. Because falling is not failure, but refusing to rise again, that is. Mandela taught us something deeper. Life is like climbing a mountain.
When you reach the top, you don't find the end. You look ahead and realize there are many more mountains to climb. And that's the journey. Not perfection, but progress. Not comfort, but courage. That's how a broken nation became a united one. That's how a prisoner became a president. And that's how a man became a legend.
Mandela's story is not just history. It is a blueprint. A blueprint for you. Right now, where are you standing in your life? Are you free or are you trapped? Not in iron bars, but in fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of starting. Do you have your own apartheid around you? People who tell you, you can't do this, you're not good enough, you'll never make it. Listen carefully. Mandela spent 27 years in darkness before he became the light. Success does not come overnight. It is built with grit, with patience, with relentless persistence. So listen, there is a Mandela inside you. A version of you that does not fear falling. A version of you that smiles even after defeat. A version of you that answers enemies not with words, but with results. But that version is waiting for one thing: a decision. So decide, right now. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. Break the chains of your fear. Turn your struggles into your strength. Those hard days, those painful moments, they are not your weakness. They are your training ground. Because remember this, as long as you don't give up, you are not defeated. Your journey, your long walk to freedom, starts today. Build your own identity. Stand up, fight, and don't stop until your destination is at your feet. Rise every time you fall, because the world is changed by imperfect souls who dare to believe that change is possible.